I'm live. Okay, back again. Well, working on my drawing, made a little bit of progress. It's definitely been interesting watching it get crafted together. What's this? I didn't even realize I thought there was a mark on the paper. Well, that's too bad. But anyway, I figured since I'm here, I'll go live, see who else is around, talk about whatever. It's open topic since I don't really have anything to go off of today other than just whatever comes to mind. So yeah, it'll be a free flowing kind of stream. I don't know if anyone has noticed, but recently I've been titling all of my live streams after Morrissey lyrics and such. Seesaw, how you doing? Nice to hear from you today. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I haven't worn it in a while, but I was like, I took my hair down. I'd had it up for a while because I was just, you need to put it out of your way sometimes. So I was like, it's been up. It needs a little something. So I just put my headband on. I've got a couple of pretty neat headbands that will elevate an outfit, I find, or elevate a look. I've got a few different styles. Uh, I have one with a pink bow, and then I have this nice black bow, which is a little bit more subtle, but I like the way it looks. I like that it's big too. I like that it's a big one. Something about having a big bow, like right at top. It's very, very girly girl. The JLP girl. Yeah, we're girly girls. We gotta have our makeup and our accessories and whatnot. Can't believe Joelle trying to come for my makeup. I think I saw today that that talk was kind of clipped, and they posted a short video of it, and then also like a 10-minute clip where he's going on like, ladies, this is what you think you look like, and then this is what you actually look like, and it's like an old witchy hag, and I'm like, thank you, that's so nice. I make all this effort. Anyway, that's all nonsense anyway. I don't listen to what men have to say about makeup. I don't give a damn. I see what men do when I, go out when I'm looking made up. And that tells me all I need to know, doesn't it? Like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, it's so funny. It's like, should I listen to what you're saying or should I watch what you do? Hmm. So that's just the thing with that kind of thing. I don't. But again, also for me, it's just about, especially like going out. I think I was talking about this before. I don't go out in public looking crazy. I look put together. I look coordinated, and I look like I mean business when I go out, and that's that. Other people don't have to do it themselves. Nobody has to live up to my standard, but I have to live up to my standard. And part of that is like, I don't know, wearing makeup. The other thing too is I didn't wear it for so long. I spent so many years not wearing it at all, just because of like my extreme feminist politics. So it became something like once I started wearing it again, important to me. You know, it's, and also like working from home during the pandemic, and I let myself go for a little bit, um, and had to have like a serious wake up call. And I think just having a daily routine where every day, no matter what, even though I may not even leave the house, I get up, you know, I take care of what I need to take care of, and then I do my makeup and put on an outfit, you know, because that's for me. It's not, a lot of the time, nobody else enjoys it except for me. I mean, y'all are enjoying it. Do you all like this dress? This is my first time wearing this dress. I got it at the last time I went to the vintage pop up market, not this previous weekend, but the one before, and I'd had it. So I've had it like maybe a month and a half, 2 months, and I have not worn it. So today I decided, well, why not put it on, right, and see how it looks. And I'm liking it. I didn't even realize it has pockets. So it's a legitimate vintage dress with pockets. Deep pockets too. Like these are decent pockets. I can do things. I can put rocks in these pockets. I could even put a wallet in them. Technically, like I don't know if my phone probably won't fit, but yeah, I'm pretty fond of it. And I like the way the collar is kind of just rounded slightly. It's a good length. It's about knee length. I'm pretty happy with it. It's like $10 from the vintage. This was a steal, actually, now that I'm thinking about this, because this has to be, I don't know how old it is. It might be from the 80s. It could be from the 80s, but it could be older too. So I'm pretty happy with this dress. I'm glad that I picked it up. Oh, you think, yeah, I don't wear red very often. Red is not a color that I ever think to wear, but I do look okay in it. So I look forward to when I actually do wear this dress out. It's still a little bit cold, I think, to wear it out, but it'll be making its debut this spring sometime. I keep wanting to flip my hair, like I'm looking at myself on camera. I'm like, ooh, ooh. Ooh. You like the outfit? Thank you, Bosco. Oh dear, shorts year round. What's that like? What is that like? To just live in shorts. I have one pair of shorts. They're like dark denim and they're paper bag style. So they have kind of like the cinched waist that's a little bit ruffled. I don't know exactly how to describe it. It's comfy. Goodness gracious. Hello, Tomas. Shorts are thriving. Yeah, I don't agree. We had a conversation about shorts last time, or not last time, but a recent time we were talking about shorts. I don't really care for them, and I get upset when I see men in shorts, honestly. I'm kind of just like, ugh. Why are you wearing that? Why can't you just wear some pants? Your legs, men exposing their legs like hussies. Those legs are meant for your wife's eyes, and here you are sharing them with the whole world. Disgusting. Standards slipping all around. I don't know. I don't like shorts. I just don't. So I have that one pair, and I haven't worn them in like a while. I might take them out soon. But again, even those shorts, I would not wear on their own. I'd have to have like some tights on underneath them to give a better effect. But I'm planning an outfit with them because I have these floral kind of pastel bluey tights. So I'm thinking that under the dark denim paper bag shorts with like maybe like a long sleeve kind of form-fitted shirt underneath that. And maybe like a hat or something. I think that'll look cute. One of my more what's the word I'm looking for? I have a lot of different hats. You've seen some of my hats on here, but you have no idea like my hat collection. I have some kind of funky hats. So I'm thinking maybe that would be something. That's for Rome size. Men are not hussies. And then he takes it back. Actually, most men. Yeah, like, are you sure about that? Some of them are hussies. It's terrible. Terrible. But anyway, I mean, wear what you like. Only Rome sees your legs. Yeah, it's cute. It's cute when you and Rome be flirting in the chat. I'm like, aw. Rome and Bibby. That's nice. Oh. Rome is in Italy. You're watching South Park? Oh, nice. I haven't watched South Park in a while. I have some friends that are like really into it. They know about all the episodes, and it's like I've seen quite a bit of it, but not to that level. There's just so many seasons now at this point. It's like, and sometimes it gets a little preachy. Terri has fits, I cannot lie. Thank you. Yeah, I try. I do my best with what I have. You know, that's all we can do. That's all we can do. Do the best you can with what you have. For me, I value that too. I think it's about what you value. So for me, it's important to look. Style is just important to me, you know, having my own unique style, and also, what are you talking about? Excuse me? Do you have something to say? Did y'all hear that? What are you talking about? What you want, baby? What? You want more food? You don't get more food. You have had dry food, you have had chicken, and you've had a can of wet food. What are you trying to do? I don't want no fat kitty. I don't want my kitty to get fat. You can't have more food and you can't go outside. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This is the ethic that most Americans should have. Yeah, a lot of Americans don't dress at all. Stop it, baby. Stop. You're not going to get up here. I'm drawing. I'm sorry. I'm not about you right now. You get me all the time. You don't feel like you get enough of me, do you? You don't feel like you get enough. And not enough. You want more. He wants more. Yeah, you were saying you wanted to watch this. I don't know. Garth Marenghi's A Dark Place. It is a show and they treat women like total crap. But I want to see women treated like crap. You don't have to be part of the 1% to dress like you have some sense. No, definitely not. In fact, I think that's a big problem in our culture is that, you know, people don't dress up anymore. I mean, Jesse was talking about it today at the airport. People used to dress up to go fly, and now it's like in so many places, people just don't care. They dress like they don't care. They don't have any consideration for anything but their own comfort. And it's like, for me, I'm not comfortable being in public if I don't look my best. I'm just not comfortable. Like, I don't feel like I'm bringing when I'm not looking my best, I don't feel my best. No, you are not going outside either. What are you talking about? Well, I gotta put up with this. So, and that doesn't mean like, maybe there might be times when I look worse than others or whatever, but if I haven't made an effort and I'm not putting my best foot forward, I don't feel comfortable and I don't feel like I can interact with people with the best energy. So to me, it's just about like, if I start with myself first and I give myself the attention and care that I need to look my best, then I'm going to, in every interaction that I have when I go out into the world and deal with people, I'm going to bring a much better person forward. As I deal with people, that's just how I see it. And I think that's a standard and like ethos that is lacking in American culture. Like, people just don't see the value in dressing nicely. And you don't even have to do too much to like get kind of side-eyed and treated oddly for like, why are you so dressed up? Like, you even get like a lot of pushback for it, but that's fine with me. I love when I get pushback for being put together and looking nice, because that's just like very validating. When like people are like, why are you all dressed up like that? What are you dressed up for? I'm like, I don't know, my life, the one life I have to live. A lot of it did come from the pandemic though, because I used to be less, I still had style, like I've always had style, but I used to be less worried about it. I don't know if worry is the right term, but I used to be less concerned with this. But I think when the pandemic happened and life just got so crazy and everything was just so chaotic, I kind of just decided at that point that, I was just going to try to live my best life every day. And that just means like, I'm not going to wait for special occasions to look nice, to dress nice. I'm not going to wait for special occasions to do my makeup or do my hair, or, I'm not going to wait for special occasions to wear certain things. I decided I was going to just treat my life like it was something that I was creating and that I was doing for me. Because I don't know, after like I became very selfish, I think, during the pandemic. But it wasn't a bad thing, obviously. It was necessary. It like really helped sustain me and keep me going. It's a cat. He's a cat. He's a cat, but he's much more than a cat. He's my friend. He's my companion. He's my guardian. He's my roommate. What else to say about him? I mean, let's see. Extrovert thoughts. I don't know what the extrovert thoughts are. I hate giving energy to my enemies. Got anything to say about that, Terri Strange? I don't really like giving my enemies any energy either, although we're supposed to pray for them. So, there are those circumstances where I remember that I have people that are quote unquote enemies, and then I just think about how sad and pathetic that is that anybody would be my enemy. So then I pray for them because I'm like, man, imagine being my enemy. Imagine what hell you must be in that I am your enemy. Imagine what kind of life, what must be going on in your spirit that I've been made your enemy. So I don't know. Depends on who your enemies are too, I think. Like, you like my hair today? Thank you. Really, I had it up all day. So I had it tied back first, and then I put it up like high on top of my head. So I'm just taking it out or down, and then, yeah, thank you. I'm glad it looks nice. I missed your question. Okay, apologies. Let me scroll up and see what your question is. Do I know who Aaron Hunter is? I don't think so. No, nothing is coming to mind. I don't know who Aaron Hunter is. Why do you ask? Yeah, he's a sweet boy. He is my sweet boy. He's very affectionate. I'm very lucky. I think I'm lucky to have an affectionate cat. He's very cuddly and sweet, and he looks after me. But he does have a touch of neuroses, and that's not odd because he is my cat, and I'm a bit neurotic too. So, I mean, we get along. We get along well, me and the cat. Who would I consider as an enemy? I've had some people do me dirty. I've had people do me dirty in my life. I've had some people like do underhanded things or try to undermine me or assassinate my character, things like that. People who've done things like that. In my day-to-day life, I don't even really think about these people, but like I do sometimes remember that they're out there. I do. I have amassed a lot of haters over the years just because of like my political extremism, the way I express myself. It's been ongoing since I started this channel. Like, I had a lot of backlash very early on, and then, backlash through the years. It pissed off a lot of people with things I've said. So, some people take it a lot further than others. But yeah, I mean, I would say an enemy is anybody who's tried to thwart me or disrupt my life or cause me some kind of misery or anguish or pain, or tried to disrupt me or tried to turn people against me. That those are the kind of people I would consider enemies. I know, it's so I always get a thrill out of that. I'm always like, that's right, keep speaking it into existence, honey. You're gonna get there. My competitor. I'm like, that's right. I have people who claim to be my enemy, but they're not even on my radar. Well, that's pretty cool. No, I have not. I don't really read a lot of fiction, to be honest. I'm really not a fan of fiction. Yeah, I think it's important too. Like when I remember that they exist, that there's these people who like don't like me and let their not liking of me disrupt who they are. Like you just have to pray for people like that because it's like so stupid. It's so nonsensical. Like get a life. Like why have I offended you so much with my existence, you know? And the fact that people like hold on to like anger or resentment or you know envy, whatever it is, it's like that's such a miserable space to be in. So you do want to pray for these people to overcome that, because the only reason they're your enemy in the first place is that they're in a fallen state and they're not seeing or thinking clearly. That's so sweet. Y'all like my look today, huh? It's pretty simple. It's pretty simple. Just throw this dress on. Hey, Bubba G, what you doing? You want some lap? You want Mama's lap, don't you? Okay, you can have some of Mama's lap. I will uncross my legs and let you get on, sit on my lap, okay? Come on, baby. Come on. Come on. I know you want the lap. You've been begging for the lap. Come on. I know you've been asking about it. Stop acting like you don't want it. You almost jumped on it a minute ago, and now you're acting like you don't want it. Fake. How do I deal with them? Yeah, pray for them. And also, I mean, like in the past, I don't know, like dealt with it in some pretty weird ways. I didn't always know how to deal with it because, like how do you deal with weird like sabotage and backbiting? I mean, when somebody's like deliberately sabotaging you, that is such a difficult thing to deal with because it's so like any way you react, if you have any kind of reaction, it can just get used against you. And that's kind of what I was finding, because I did have some like weird experiences happen a number of years ago, but like where it was like making me paranoid and scared, and like, you know, if I wasn't happy, like, but anytime I tried to speak out about it, like, you know, I just was coming across as crazy. It wasn't coherent. It wasn't making sense. Like, you know, it's hard for me too to think linearly about these things sometimes, though, because the way my mind works, I just don't think linearly. I think in like all different directions. Yeah. God is good. God is good. God is very good. God can change anyone. I wasn't even that bad. Like when you think about like the kind of people that are out in the world and the kind of horrible things people do, like could have been much worse, you know, but God has taken people who've killed and transformed them. God has taken like, you know, all kinds of evil people and turned them into something new and great and used them for the glory of his kingdom. So in me, I just think like, in me, he was always in me, you know? And I think that was part of like why I got some of the hate and backlash I did so often. It was just like, I was never of the world, you know, I never really belonged. And they sense that. I think they sense that you don't belong to. And that's part of why sometimes, you know, I never really fit in anywhere. And I don't really think, now I don't really care about fitting in so much, but like in terms of like worldly identities and the communities formed around there, I was never going to fit in anywhere. I was never going to make sense to people because like what was driving me ultimately was some desire to like do the right thing, even if I didn't know what that was. My cat is not a tomcat. be clear, he is a eunuch. He does not, he is the eunuch, and he is here to protect me. I am his lady. Will be no lady cats in this house. He loves me and no one else. Sometimes he will, when his aunties come to visit, he may, give them a kiss or something, or like, but I'm his lady. Yeah, I think that I've had that realization too. I've dealt with that a bit too. In general, young men should avoid old men. Why? There have been countless folks try to school and teach me, and it's like, you're not better than me in any way. I've had that with older women too. Like, because I think in my experience, one of the things that drew me to like feminism and like radical feminism was my lack of having any kind of female influence, like solid female influence. I grew up always craving my mother, wanting to be mothered, needing that and not having it. And so I think that experience, like as I entered the world as an adult, I was looking for connection with women because it was something that I didn't have. Not that I didn't have like older women in my life growing up. I definitely had like neighbors who took an interest in me, but it never could make up for the fact that I didn't have a mother at home. So yeah, going into the world and like discovering feminism and like, oh, there's this like radical branch of feminism where it's all female all the time and there's like women only spaces. I was drawn to that. I wanted to experience and be around and feel like loved by women, and it wasn't conscious that was what was motivating me or driving me, but now in retrospect, in hindsight, it makes total sense. But yeah, in that kind of world, there was a lot of like older women who would take you under their wing, but like for nefarious reasons. Like they were trying to like guide you into hell, guide you into like who knows what, manipulate you, mold your mind. And I was kind of vulnerable because I was so often like craving the affection of an older woman, and it's something I still like kind of struggle with, I think too. And now I have more kind of clarity and understanding about women's nature and my nature as a woman and that kind of thing. But yeah, definitely can be really interesting when you figure this stuff out. That's an effing harmonious and nice observation. The observation about how you have come far and became more feminine and changed was nice and beautiful to witness. Thank you. Yeah, well, femininity to me is like, I spent so many years believing that femininity was evil, that it was, harmful, that it oppressed women. And really what I was doing was I was just like, I don't know how to describe it, but I remember having these like moments back in the day as I was kind of starting to awaken. And the awakening thing took years. It wasn't just like an overnight process, but I remember feeling like in my spirit, I saw my soul and I was like all bound I was completely bound and tied up and like restricted. And that was the opposite of what I thought I was doing. It's like on the outside, I was like projecting all this like wild, fierce, female, like feminine fury. But on the inside, it's like all of my wild fierceness, all of my like real power as a woman was restricted. And that was part of it for me too, because I was into these like extreme radical politics that believe that, women have power over one another, which is true. But power is a human condition. You can't do anything about it. There will always be power issues between human being individuals. There's always going to be power dynamics going on. There will always be people who are, more leaders than followers. There will always be people that are more loud and boisterous. There will always be people that are more quiet. There will always be people that are, submissive and people that are dominant. And yeah, so these kind of like extreme politics, in my belief system at the time, I thought, femininity is a way that women get power. It's a way that women have power in like the patriarchal society, but it's also a way that women exercise power against one another. And, I just thought in my mind, like a feminine woman, a woman that's like doing all this, practicing all these different forms of femininity, I just thought, that's like the most evil thing, and even though it was like, when I started to like embrace my femininity again, it was like, man, I saw how much I was holding myself back, how I was like restricting myself from like accessing my true female essence, my true female power. I was always beautiful, like, regardless, like I was always someone that was, naturally beautiful, but I wasn't using what God gave me. God made me the way I am for a reason. You know what I mean? Like, and here I am not taking what he's given me and using it properly. It was a big wake up call for me, the femininity thing, and like getting back into it and realizing like, wow, like, and even from like a pagan perspective, like there is something to like the goddess, the different, goddess interpretations and stories. Like, I think it's Inanna that went into the underworld and she had to like remove all her vestiges of beauty, femininity, everything to like descend. And when you look at that story, you kind of start to realize that these things, femininity specifically, and beauty are tools that women have. There are these tools that we have, and they're kind of like they're a form of our own power as women. They're charms. They're there to enhance us. And there's also like, I think the story, just looking at like Aphrodite or Venus, and her story, and like beauty is this like insane power. I don't think we really even understand it or grapple with it, but it has such a control on us as human beings. And we can either deny it, but it's not the denial of the power of beauty is not going to take away its power. But it's one of those powers that I think people don't know what to do with, and with women specifically, because it is a power that we have and that we wield. It is kind of seen as there's suspicion thrown on it. There's a lot of suspicion thrown on it, and there's a lot of people don't know what to do with it because it can't be controlled. And when people are influenced by beauty, it can, lead them to be uncontrolled as well, because it inflames the passions and makes, people weak. It renders people weak. But again, like, I was made the way I was for a reason. Of course, I know who Virginia Woolf and Susan Sontag are. Although I haven't read any Susan Sontag. Like, and from what I understand, she's like a reactionary anyway. I don't really have any interest in reading her work. I have enjoyed some of Virginia Woolf's work, and actually, I did a live stream on this channel years ago about where we talked about A Room of One's Own. So, or did I? I'm pretty sure I did, because I read it a few years or some years back, and I think we did a live stream talking about it. So, Virginia Woolf is like interesting, very interesting. Somebody brought her up in one of the live stream chats or something, like compared me to her, and they were like, "She died miserably. Maybe you should reconsider." I was like, okay, like, I'm nothing like her. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm nothing like Virginia Woolf, but I'm also nothing like her in so many ways. So, okay, and whatever. Yeah, I had that too. I had that with some women, that they kind of like tried to take on that role. And it's weird. I still have it with some older women. Like, I remember once I was eating, and I think I was eating a bagel or something, and I was in a group of women, and I like got stuff all over me, and this like woman came, she like grabbed a bunch of napkins and came over and like gave them to me, and she's like, I don't know, it was a moment. She's like, "I'm a mom. I just, notice these things." And then I was like, it's interesting. There's these little things that I miss or don't know about that I wonder about. And it's difficult, like, just having a father. I mean, you get toughened up so much more. And like being a woman and getting raised that way, it's just a interesting experience, because I always like wanted relief from like the veracity of like the masculine world. I never had it's when the mother's not there, that's what's lacking. It's like the comfort, the safety, the nurturing, that the softness that women provide, like to children. It's such a, again, I mean, I've talked about it before, but like parental alienation is a real problem. And then when someone dies, I mean, what can you do? Sometimes it's just like, obviously my childhood and the situation with my parents, I was raised in the best circumstance possible, but you always just feel like something's missing. Physical beauty works on the weak and inspires lust or admiration. Yeah. And but the thing is, a lot of people don't realize how weak they are until they're actually facing it. So, whatever, I'm going to use what I got while I got it. Yeah, that is true. I mean, that's the thing. Femininity and masculinity they exist in everything, and they exist, at least, they exist on all levels, in all dimensions. So, and in everything and in every person. Oh, you can see a person walking behind me. There's a number of people out walking tonight. It's nice that the sun is still out. I do enjoy this about daylight savings time. Solid advice. Hey, Kate, nice to see you. Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's a thing, you know. No, too much of the femininity isn't good either. You know, you need a balance. I think it hit 60 today, 60 degrees. So it wasn't too warm. I didn't go outside at all, actually. I wasn't up to it. So we will see. We will see. Tomorrow it's supposed to be warmer and it's Friday, so I may choose to go out sometime, either during the day, like on my lunch break, or maybe after work. I'll head out. Yeah, like usually at the end of like my work day, I don't really feel much like going out because usually like I've eaten my fill for the day by that time, and it's like, what am I going to go out to do, you know? And on a Friday too. But it will be warm, and the cherry blossoms are starting to come out, which is nice. I saw some on last weekend. I think I went out briefly on Saturday, and I was out Sunday too, but it was so cold, so I didn't get to enjoy it too much. I kind of just rushed home, but I did see that I did come across a cherry blossom tree that was sprouting. And I came across another tree, although I don't know what kind of tree it is, but it was flowering. It had these like very large, bulbous white flowers. I'm sorry, I saw Matthew say something about my red dress. Lady in red stay. You like the red, Matthew. Thank you. That's very. I don't wear a lot of red, and I haven't worn this dress before, so I put it on today. I wasn't sure, like when I saw it, if it would fit, but then I looked at it more closely, saw the size, and I was like, it'll fit. And then when I went to put it on today, it fits. It's not even tight or anything. I mean, in the bosom, it's a little bit stretched, but not much. It's not really noticeable. I'm excited about it. I'm very happy I picked up this dress. But yeah, I don't wear a lot of red, but it's nice to have. I like the color of red too. It's kind of like just very bright. Oh, okay, let's see. You're going to go camping like an MFer this year. My goodness. Well, have fun. I do not like camping. I hate it. I can't even do it anymore physically. It's too hard. It's so funny too when like people bring it up to me. Like I'm like, Do I look like I want to go camping? They don't even like think about the difficulty of like taking someone like me camping. But I'm like, my friends like last year, I think, or the year before, they were like, "Would you ever be interested in going to like one of these campouts?" And I was like, "Nope." Or would you like to go camping? I was like, "Do you mean stay in a hotel? Because I'm not sleeping in a tent. I'm not sleeping on the earth. I'm not doing it. I'm not the one." But I loved camping with my dad when I was a kid. We used to like, we'd always go camping by some kind of like creek or something. And then I would get to like go gold panning. We had these gold pans. And I would get to sift through like the sediment and look for gemstones. I'd always find like pyrite, iron pyrite, and I'd find like garnets sometimes. It was nice. What do I think of women flirting with Nick? Am I jealous? Um, I've only like really heard one woman flirt with Nick. Like I think I caught the tail end of it. Like it was someone who called in and she was like being a little bit much. I was not jealous. I was like in shock, I would say. Yeah. I was more in shock that she was that like salacious with her words. But hey, we all have our different ways of flirting, I guess. So, but that to me was too much. She was like, I think, what did she say? She said, like, she said, sex is really good exercise, Nick. And I was like, what am I watching? I was shook. I was like in shock. I was like, I guess this is the risk you run though. Like anybody can call in. I don't know. I was shocked though. I was like, no, that ain't right. That ain't right. But I don't know who it was. And I don't know. But I would not say I'm jealous. Nick's not the one for me anyway. Nick is an alpha and Rib's gonna rib. Yeah, I know. We do be ribbing. Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. It's interesting. Hmm. Now I'm planning like my seduction. hmm. How can I, yeah, now I'm thinking, hmm. How should I dress to, was, was Karen the one is she the one? I don't know. I don't know. You're funny, Tomas. Yes, I did see the aurora borealis sometimes. I don't remember it camping though. I usually would see it in winter, and we didn't camp in winter. Usually it would be like really early in the morning, or it would be kind of like in the evenings that it would come out. But I caught it more in the morning. Even sometimes I would like walk to school in the winter, and it would be like, I don't know, 7 something in the morning. It would still be dark out, and you would catch like the aurora in the sky. It was just gorgeous. I do miss that. I try to consider all questions. I'm like, how do I feel about these other women flirting with Nick? I mean, he's a good looking guy. I will say that he is good looking. He's cute. He is cute. And especially when he got that haircut. I'm like, he looking kind of good with that haircut. I like a man with, nice, tidy hair, And he's very smart, and that's attractive too. So, good, he's a good looking guy. He's going to get women flirting with him. Doesn't bother me. I'm secure, I know that my place is secure. We'll just say that. Karen, I'm not really familiar with Karen, but I'm wondering if she's the one. I do sometimes see a Karen in the chat, so I'm wondering if that's. Who knows? Who knows? And then a Latinay called in to smear Nick. Did she smear Nick? I haven't. I have heard her beef with him. She's funny. I think she's funny. Hello, Think Shink. Mental cosmonaut. What an interesting. And look, you have the Aurora Borealis we were just talking about. I do like that name. Mental cosmonaut. I love the cosmonauts. It's a much better term than astronaut, don't you think? Cosmonaut just sounds more exciting. Terry, do you think dragons were real? I know that dragons are real. I know that they're real. Nick is all I think about. Dang. Do you get jealous? Are you jealous then? He's asking me if I'm jealous when you're the one that's over there seething about it, like these sluts flirting with Nick. I can't stop thinking about them. What does Terry think? I hope she's mad at them too. You have a theory on dragons, my goodness. Nick, okay, so Nick does a show at noon, Monday through Thursday on YouTube. It's called The American Anchor Baby. So he does like a live stream. And then on Fridays, he does a live stream at 4. And I think I caught one of his VR shows. I think that was happening on a Saturday. He went into like a virtual reality like thing. He kind of does gaming. I don't know what it is. It's like a game, I guess, that you go on and do like the, virtual reality thing. And he's like in a little hot dog suit and he goes up and just talks to random people. So yeah, that's who he is. Nick, if you're watching, I'm legit. Do you think he's watching me? I don't think they pay any attention to my little channel, any of them. I don't think any of the boys are watching my channel from the JLP network. And if they are, I mean, my goodness, I would be honored because I catch their shows, so why shouldn't they catch mine? But mine are far less structured, at least most of the time. So who knows? Not the R word, Seasal. Dropping the R word. I don't know. Yeah, I'm amazed at how many people are in the who just show up to criticize JLP. It's amazing to me. And they'll be there every day, calling him a heretic or saying he's not a Christian or just going off about whatever. It is so dumb. It is beyond dumb. Why are you here? because I mean, I don't have to agree with him about everything, but like clearly they find him entertaining or something. Like I just don't understand it. Like if that's the way they feel though, they're very adamant about it. But I'm with Jesse too about that kind of stuff. Like the Trinity to me is like adopted from paganism. It doesn't really have anything to do with like my understanding. Like, I mean, I understand the different parts of the Trinity and I see how they're interconnected, but I just don't place as much emphasis on that or think it's as important. And then I also like to, I don't like the equation, when people equate Jesus with God and say he's the same thing, because it's not the same thing. He's the Son of God, sent by the Father. So, yeah, I don't know. That's just how I feel. Hey, Frederick. Good to see you. Good evening. Thanks for showing up to my little chat tonight. I'm drawing. I put it on the table though because what I'm drawing is just a little bit easier. So I'll put my drawing back on the board in a bit for y'all to see. I guess that's what they say, but I think it's a bit more complicated than that. I mean, they all cover things about the Who's. YouTube keeps deleting my recommendation for Shoe on Head's video. I think she did a video about me years ago. If he sees me in here, he knows you're gang gang. Yeah, she's the one who did a video on me. I haven't watched it though, because I'm just like, Jason is the one who got obliterated today. Jason lives with his mom and is 40, if I'm not wrong. Did he call in? Was he one of the callers? I don't remember. I can't keep them all together. Oh, that Jason. Yeah, okay. Yeah, Jason out of Buffalo. He hates Trump. And he just like, it's amazing to me that they're still taking his calls. Like, because it's just the same thing over and over. And it's like rather dull. But yeah, Jesse was ticked today. He was ticked. He was mad. He was mad about the equipment and the sound. He's like, why isn't that thing on? And then the little Jesus pop up. No, don't fire Sean. Beautiful Sean. Beautiful Sean with the glowing white skin. They need to put Sean they need to sell posters with Sean on them. Like, and they need to do like, I don't know, maybe have Sean like model the t-shirts. Because Hake is a good model and everything, but like, I think they would push more if they like had Sean modeling. Or maybe Sean should just model in general. I think he should. I mean, he's in LA. He probably should be signed up with some modeling agencies. He is like a hunk. And I'm not the only girl in the chat that thinks so. Like, all these other girlies are like, he's so handsome. And I'm like, yeah, they need to freaking like get on that. Start pushing him out more. Put the little eye candy out. Because he's going to draw in a whole new audience. But anyway, I don't want to go off too far, but that would just be my suggestion. I'm like, sell a calendar with him in it or sell like a poster with him on it, I swear, like the girlies would go for it. They would sell those. Many people have done videos about me, Tomas. I think I mentioned Shoe on Head. Shoe on Head did a response video to me years ago where I don't even remember. She was like upset about like the political lesbianism thing. She was like, sexuality isn't a choice. Sexual orientation isn't a choice. Brr, that kind of thing. Like, so. I mean, I don't have a different opinion, about that now. I do think it's a choice. So I've always thought it was a choice. And I always will. The end. He's a flat earther, so he ain't going nowhere. He has outed himself, hasn't he? Yeah. Who is White Tom Hanks, Chris? White Tom Hanks, Chris. Who is White Tom Hanks, Chris? Did I ever go through? Yeah, a long period of time I believed in God without believing in the Bible. What tipped me over was kind of realizing that I just had a realization that the Bible was, I don't know how exactly it came to me, but I remember having this realization that the Bible was real and living, and that it was kind of predicting our reality, or like it was the blueprint of our reality. I kind of just had this like download at some point that was the case. And so but I'm like not a Bible thumper. I don't think that, it's helpful to just like, although I do have certain scriptures memorized, it just happens naturally. But like what's happening in the Bible is always happening, the stories that play out, like you can put them in a historical context, but I had this realization that it wasn't just historical, it's representing the human condition and what we're all going through. So I don't know. Terry also thinks Ben Shapiro is hot, and that's all I need to hear. He is a very, very attractive man. He's successful. He's funny. He's like in very good shape. He's handsome. He has very striking features. He's a bit filthy. Like his little irritating voice is kind of sexy. Like I don't know what to say. He's attractive. Like, and he's very creative, and he's successful, and he's got pretty good, like he's very serious about his values and his beliefs. He takes them very seriously. And he's a loving father and husband. I mean, he's very proud of his wife and his children and his family. And I mean, who wouldn't be attracted to such a man? I mean, you're a man. I don't know. Like, you probably shouldn't think about it too hard. Like, why are you concerned with who I, as a lady, find attractive? Like, I'm going to be assessing men differently. You like Ben Shapiro. Don't laugh about Ben Shapiro. I love Ben Shapiro. I'm not even playing. I'm not even playing. He is He is fine. Tom Cruise, not Tom Hanks. Yeah. I still don't know who you're talking about. I wish Chris well. I don't know who. Oh, that Chris. Yeah, no, he's not anything compared to Sean. Are you kidding me? That guy, like, I wasn't even watching the show at that time. I've just seen like past clips. He couldn't. Come on, compared to Sean. Let's just be objective here. Come on, that's not fair. Chris doesn't have a chance in hell against Sean. Sean is gorgeous. Like, I'm not even. I don't know a thing about him, but just looking at him, I'm like, dang. That is a pretty. He's pretty. I don't know what to say. Like, there are very few men in this world that are beautiful that I would say that about, but he has beauty, okay? And they need to market that because he's going to get older and then he's going to hit the wall like all men do eventually, and he's going to become like, kind of gruff. And so they need to really max out his pretty boy potential while he's still young. I wish Chris well. Yeah. Terry's download was on AOL dial-up. I never had AOL. I had ICQ. He's no Adam Driver. I do not find Ben Shapiro ran from Nick Fuentes. I don't know who that is. I'm sorry, I didn't. Who are you? Do you have a different name? I'm not familiar with you making posts talking smack about him. Yeah. That was funny. He's funny. Or like when the Barbie movie came out and he burned the Barbies, I was like, this is so insane. So this is where it's at so far. This is where we're at so far. Making progress. But would you want to date a pretty or beautiful man? Neither. I'm the pretty one. I'm the pretty one. Gruffy from Futurama type of gruff. I don't know who that is. Fair Fuente's reaction. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know who that is. You don't think he's a good dad or anything? Well, he is. He's talked about I saw a video of him the other day talking about his schedule. He's actually the one who gets his kids. He's the one who is there with them in the morning. So he feeds his kids in the morning and gets them ready for school and takes them to school. And he's also the one that picks them up from school. So he's a very active, involved father, and he goes and works while they're in school. And yeah, he's the one that's responsible for that. It sounds like he's that would make him like the primary care. He is the dad. Cool shapes and colors going on there. Yeah, I like it so far too. I haven't done anything like this in a while, so I'm enjoying it. I'm liking the colors. Yeah, I've never heard of Nick Fuentes. What's the book club book, Terry? The book club book? What do you mean? The book club book. Are we having a book club? I already have a book club. I'm in a book club already. Are you asking about that? Have I talked about it here before? I had a book club a couple nights ago. Oh, I was reading from my book. Oh, you want to see that book? That book is here. So the book I was reading from the other day is here. It's just yesterday I had Bible study with my church, but this was the book I was reading from on my live stream. It's called Fingers Crossed. No, you're not going outside. Stop asking to go outside. It's not going to happen. Get your little butt over here right now. I'm playing with you. Huh? Yeah, you know you're not supposed to do that. You know you're not going to go outside. What are you, crazy? I'm not letting you outside. I have no idea who Nick Fuentes is. I'm going to look him up. Who is Nick Fuentes? Who is Nick Fuentes? You heard of him? Oh, you're so cute with your little whiskers. Oh my goodness. Look at them whiskers. Look at them whiskers. They're so cute. You could be in my lap, but you don't want no. You want my lap? Nick Fuentes. Oh my. He looks like a Onision. Height 5'9". He's 1998. Why is anyone listening to somebody born in 1998? Yeah, I've never heard of this guy. Oh, baby, you on mama's lap now. How are you 25 and you already have this kind of following? That's not fair. Yeah. American far-right political commentator and live streamer who is known for his, well, we're getting an objective view on this from our friends at Wikipedia, who is known for his white supremacist, misogynistic, homophobic, anti-Semitic, and Islamophobic views. A former YouTuber, his channel was permanently terminated in February 2020 for violating YouTube's hate speech policy. Oh. And so Ben Shapiro didn't want to debate this guy? Nick Fuentes says perfidious Jews should be executed. Nick Fuentes, a white nationalist who dined with Donald Trump last year, said on a live stream that perfidious Jews should be executed. After Nick Fuentes called for a genocide of Jewish Americans. Dang. Who is Nick Fuentes and why is his anti-Semitism dangerous for America? Good Lord. Nazis mingle openly at CPAC, spreading anti-Semitic conspiracy. DeSantis says he would not dine with Holocaust denier Nick Fuentes. Damn, this is all the first page of Google. He said his ideal wife is 16 if he marries at 30. All right, that's weird. You're so cute. Okay. Maybe this is a different Nick Fuentes because the guy I was looking at was white. So Nick is based, he just doesn't like the juice. Well, I love the Jews. So I don't know. I got a problem with that crap. I don't find it funny. Or like I don't even get like I don't know, it's irritating to me. It's like any other group. I mean, if you're a white person and you blame the Jews for why your life sucks, you know, you're no different than any other like person doing that, you know, to white people. It just, to me, it's just stupid. Do we love the Jews? Do We love the Jews. We love the Jews. Mommy, we love them Jews. We love the Jews. Yeah, we love Jews. You're so good boy. Reading about him will only show me lies. Yeah, I don't know anything. I don't feel like I know anything about him other than he's like a right-wing political commentator known for his misogynistic, racist, Islamophobic, and anti-Semitic. mm. You. Oh, you're so sweet. What did I do to have such a sweet kitty? Oh my god, he's being so sweet right now. He's being so cuddly. You just wanted some attention, didn't you? You just wanted mama's attention. Why is she paying attention to all them other people when he's right here? When the kitty's right here needing love and affection. Oh my gosh, am I a bad mama? You poor babe. You go put up with mama. You go put up with her ways. Why do they do all these weird things? Why do the humans do all the weird things when there's a kitty that needs them? Mm. Well, you better say that for the YouTube woke people that own YouTube. I mean, I'm not saying it for any other reason than it's true. You know? I don't dislike any race of people really. I mean, well, that isn't true. But I like the Jews. I love them. They're like I've had so many dear friends that were Jewish, and like I've got my stepfather's Jewish, his family. But apart from that, like I just had like some of the people who've been like there for me, when I didn't have anyone else. People who treated me like family. We were just friends, but they treated me like I was one of their own. I don't know. Like I don't feel. I'm not cool with that. Like I love Jewish people, so that's it. Terry, send that nosy pest rodent out. Are you talking about my cat? You never knew any curly, haired tiny hats. Goodness. Okay, so back to the book. Mickey Bereni, fingers crossed. Let's read another excerpt from it, shall we? Oh, they've got some pictures in here. Oh, this should be good. Oh, there's more than one. I want to see her mom. Okay, so her mom and dad. So she was born on March 18th, 1967. Oh, wow. Mom and Dad's whirlwind romance. After meeting at the 1964 Tokyo Olympics, they eloped a year later to London and married in 1966. So yeah, her father was Hungarian and her mother was Japanese. Look at this photo of their, like, her as a baby with her mom and dad. Very cute. What's that? NL, Netherlands? Let's look at the other pictures to see if there's anything. Now, this is them at Glastonbury in 1987. This is before they even formed the band Lush, but this is all the members of Lush at Glastonbury 87. Is this a sick or disabled woman? What's her story? I don't know if she has any disabilities. I'm unaware of any disabilities she might have. You you never know with people. For a long time, I was disabled without really having any signs of it, other than like if you were looking at me closely, you might see some difficulty I had with things. But no, she's a she was musician, lead singer of the band Lush, very popular band in the early 90s. I like their music quite a bit. Okay, so here we go. Let's see. So she's talking about her mom in this section. One opportunity led to another, and while Richard Johnson was chatting with his friend Albert Broccoli, who happened to be filming his latest James Bond movie, Johnson himself had originally been considered for the Bond role in Dr. No, Yasuko's name came up. Yasuko is her mother. Having lucked into one major film with only a kimono and a facility with English to make up for her complete lack of acting experience, she was now cast in another. Most of You Only Live Twice had been shot on location in Japan, but by the time Mum was on board, the production was filming final footage at Pinewood, the iconic bathhouse scene where a bevy of bikini-clad handmaidens minister to the ablutions of Sean Connery, is often fondly remembered by male friends of my age who, brought up on a childhood of Christmas Bond screenings, recall it as a landmark moment for their nascent hormones. For Yasuko, the experience was made somewhat less sexiful, to quote a particularly wince-inducing line of dialogue, by her recent realization that she was now 3 months pregnant. With her energy focused on sucking in her belly, Yasuko lacked the muscle to compete in the scrum of actresses keen to minister to Connery's lathering, and you can spot her in the scene attending to Tetsuro Tamba, playing Secret Service agent Tiger Tanaka. Mum claims that she was, in any case, more impressed at meeting Tamba, who is a huge star in Japan, a fact that none of the other women were aware of, since, as Mum pointedly mentions, they weren't actually Japanese. One had Burmese heritage and the other two were Chinese. But it was standard at the time for East Asians to be interchangeably cast. Mum herself went on to play Chinese, Vietnamese, and Singaporean roles during her career. They thought we all looked the same anyway. However, being authentically Japanese did, by Yasuko's account, play a part in a callback some months later to appear in the film's title sequences and provide overdubs for some of the scenes. Excited as she was at the offer, not least because the Bond film paid phenomenally well, she expected the invitation to be rescinded when she sheepishly had to break the news that she was by now visibly on the verge of giving birth. But the title designer Maurice Binder showed no signs of annoyance, accommodating her by nixing the planned silhouette body shots and instead propping her up on cushions with a parasol behind her while filming close-ups of her face and providing a kindly reassurance that any obstetric stirrings could be instantly responded to by an on-hand doctor and swift passage to a hospital. As it happens, it was a close call. I was born 4 days later. I was born shortly after midnight on 18th March, 1967. My name in the Japanese kanji writing system means beautiful evergreen tree. And Mum was thinking specifically of the actress and model Miki Iri, who herself was mixed race, half Japanese and half Russian. She went on to marry the world-renowned conductor Seiji Azawa. It's a popular name in Hungary too, albeit as a shortening for a male name, Nicholas. So there were resonances in her choice. Dad came up with my middle name, Eleonora, after his mother, but he wasn't around to gift me this blessing on my birth. According to Mom's account, when her waters broke, he'd been gone for days, and she'd had to walk to the hospital alone. I suspected he was off sleeping with some woman. All the Hungarian friends came visiting, and everyone was asking, "Where is Ivan?" The nurses, too. "Where is your husband?" It was so humiliating. I had no way of reaching him. He finally turned up the next day, but I lowered my expectations of him after that. I like sad music. Well, then you should like the band Lush. You should listen to their album Spooky. Did she have groupies? Lush had many groupies. Lush were pretty amazing because when you think about at the time too, they were a female fronted band. Her and Emma were the leaders of the band, and when they played they played all of the alternative festivals, but there was one where they were the only group that were led by women. There were no other female performers. Is she a catcher or a pitcher? Yeah, I don't know what you mean by that. Yeah, you remember them. Yeah, they're amazing. It's very beautiful, melodies. And it's, they started off kind of in the shoegaze thing, but they also did some pop records. I like both. I think they're a pretty amazing band. But yeah, they kind of, they had a very interesting story and trajectory as a band. They were very unique as a band too. Very unique as a band. One of a kind. I can't think of any other bands I would compare them to. Mom was brought up in a culture where wives were expected to tolerate their husbands' affairs, but her own mother would never have put up with such behavior herself. When Tomiko arrived in London to coddle her firstborn grandchild, Tomiko is her grandmother. And her grandmother was it's so interesting when she was telling the story of her grandmother. Her grandmother was the matriarch of the family. And actually her husband took her name because they were rich. Her family was wealthy and connected. And it's interesting to me because I was reading earlier this past year in my book club, we read 2 books. One was called A Framework for Understanding Poverty, and the other book was called Crossing the Tracks for Love, and they both dealt with class differences. And one of the interesting things that I learned in that was that in the upper classes, in the poverty class, matriarchy is pretty much it. Poverty class, if you're poverty class, you're in a matriarchal society. If you're middle class, patriarchal society is what rules. Upper class, whoever has the most wealth and power will determine the way the family is run, either patriarchal or matriarchal. So when I read this about her own grandmother, who is Japanese, which we see as a very, patriarchal culture, it was interesting to me that even in that, because of her family, her connections, and her wealth, her husband actually got subsumed into her family. Go figure. So anyway, let me continue. Okay, so when Tomiko arrived in London to coddle her firstborn grandchild, she instantly took in the situation and tried to persuade Yasuko to return to Kawaguchi. But Yasuko had no desire to deal with the stigma of being a single mother raising a mixed-race daughter in Japan. which in respectable conservative society would make both of us outcasts. To give Yasuko and Ivan a solid start to family life, and distance Dad from the temptations of the single girls inhabiting their Chelsea apartment block, my grandparents fund the deposit on a 4-bedroom family home on Staverton Road in Willesden Green. The move to London's northwest suburbs in no way means settling into a life of dull respectability, and there are regular parties and gatherings with the lively Hungarian crowd who are welcoming and protective of Ivan's young wife. But the convivial setup is disrupted by visits from Dad's mother, Nora, who dotes on me, but is from the outset hostile towards her daughter-in-law. When Mum returns from food shopping, Nora grabs the bag off her and wails, "Poor Ivan, he has to eat this. You don't care about him at all." When Yasuko takes lessons in Hungarian from Ivan's friend Peter Palai, he went on to work as a journalist for the BBC Hungarian service for almost 40 years. The better to communicate with her mother-in-law, Nora puts the kibosh on their sessions with relentless anti-Semitic slurs against Peter and insinuations of ulterior sexual motives. She spits out Yasuko's meals and gasps in outrage at her parenting, sneering at her appearance and denigrating every attempt at friendship. What a nice mother-in-law. What a nice mother-in-law. Doesn't she sound like a treat? Dad had more than wandering eyes. Dad was not even there at the birth of his firstborn child because he was out sleeping with some hoe. Ivan shrugs off all of this as Nora's harmless possessiveness, a mother naturally wanting high standards of care for her son and grandchild. But however much he normalizes Nora's behavior, it's clear that she is jealous of anyone close to Dad and relentlessly, spitefully alienates them. Ivan is either too self-centered to see it or too lazy to do anything about it, and sometimes actively plays up to it. When he gets sick with the flu, Mum walks in to find Nora spooning soup into his mouth, cooing and caressing while he smacks his lips and nuzzles like a baby. It's a bizarre and unsettling scene, and Mum takes it as an indication that their relationship is far from normal. Still, Yasuko dutifully accepts that as Ivan's wife, she must try her best with his mother, and makes every effort to please her, including visiting Hungary so Nora can spend the summer in the company of her grandchild. It's just me and Mum because Ivan, as a refugee, feels unable to return himself, and I'm impressed by Mum's spirit, a young woman far from home, driving across a continent to an unfamiliar country with her toddler in tow. And she loves Hungary, the culture, the architecture, the music, and the people. Everyone in the local Balaton village knows about Nora's malignant personality, so they are sympathetic and hospitable to Yasuko. She is warmly welcomed into their company, which of course infuriates Nora even more. Nora sounds nice. Nora continues to bully Mum, but underestimates her resilience. Yasuko has plenty of experience hiding her true feelings under a dutiful veneer, and she isn't about to be crushed by Nora's passive-aggressive mind games. For her, the positives far outweigh the negatives. She has a family, chosen for herself rather than imposed by arrangement, and a glamorous career she's only recently discovered she even wanted. Living in London with a wide circle of cosmopolitan friends, she is regularly traveling and working in Europe. Life is full of excitement and adventure. The only insurmountable problem is Ivan. Though they are very much in love, at least they were at the beginning, he never stops womanizing. By 1970, when I am 3, Ivan travels to Mexico to report on the World Cup and is gone for months. Any money he has earned when he finally returns has been blown on whatever woman he's been shacked up with. Mom is familiar with the pattern and has grown tired of wasting her energy on berating and cajoling in the hopes that he might change. She has embarked on an affair of her own and is biding her time, preparing for an exit. Dad always claimed that Mom's career was as much to blame for their split as his cheating, which he never denied, and implied that her arty acting crowd made him feel unwelcome. But Mom is adamant that far from being resentful of her career, Ivan was delighted by how well paid her work was, which suited him because he never managed to hold down a regular job himself. Moreover, Yasuko being away days or weeks at a time for filming allowed him the freedom to get up to all sorts of mischief. Still, I have a 15-page letter addressed to Tomiko, but never sent, in which Ivan appeals to his mother-in-law to intervene and save their marriage. The typed sheets read like a diary, documenting their sad end-of-relationship conversations and his desolation at losing her. I am dead inside. I have smoked 200 cigarettes in the last 2 days and slept virtually nothing in the last 2 weeks. I'm not saying this for sympathy, just to explain why perhaps I am now willing to acquiesce to anything. You see, for me, it was my destiny that I marry Yasuko and that I keep beside her whatever happens. The better things in life always come very hard, and perhaps two people can only really love and appreciate each other if their love is purified in the blaze of selfishness and wantonness. Her dad's crazy. That's interesting. I didn't know Jesus got buried in Japan. Nora's. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting to learn her story. I love learning about like interesting people's lives, especially when they talk about their families. Okay. Yet there is barely any acknowledgement of the humiliation and upset visited on Yasuko by his relentless infidelity and no promise to change. In fact, everything is framed as though Dad is fighting to save his family from the temptations of her career and her lover. Even his description of Nora, Yasuko dislikes my mother, who spoils Mickey and is always looking for sympathy and is full of old girlish self-pity, excuses Granny's behavior as trivial and casts Yasuko as the aggressor, a view that literally no one else supports. By my parents' account, I am a happy little kid, but even I know something is up. My earliest memory is sitting between them on their bed, Dad lying on his side, making smiley faces at me, but blinking away tears. Mom impassive and angry. Then as a toddler in our garden, running back and forth between them and stumbling on my fat little legs, laughing and shrieking, but worried that either one might vanish while my back is turned. Dad's letter describes the visit to the zoo. Mickey can feel that not everything is all right between us and keeps asking, "What is wrong with you two these days?" She is a very sensitive and perceptive child. And there's the time I lie on the floor reading aloud to Mom and sensing her distraction. Say, "You're always so sad. Is it because of Daddy?" To which she pauses and then says, "Yes." Which, according to Yasuko, is the moment she makes up her mind to leave. Wow. Oh, this is interesting. I'll just read a little bit more. Mom has left Dad for a photographer she met on a magazine shoot, who in turn has split up his own family to be with her. While I happily play with his two children, I dislike Michael intensely, and I am delighted when the relationship ends. But I am generally hostile to all my parents' lovers. In my mind, the pecking order for mom and dad's attention should be each other, then me, then last of all, whoever this new stranger is. With dad, this isn't a problem. He rarely commits to any of his girlfriends, so they aren't a threat. But mom, more conventionally, centers the men in her life, which means I am expected to do likewise. I treat them like interlopers, with suspicion and resentment, even into adulthood. My time is split between mom and dad, depending on their work schedules. In some ways, it doesn't feel so different. I'm used to both of them being away for long periods. Mom for acting gigs, dad for his press jaunts. And I'm enjoying the daytime distraction of starting primary school at New End in Hampstead, happy to move on from the nursery in Willesden, where the enforced afternoon naps still evoke a stress memory. While mom is juggling work and parenting on her own, dad relies on a fleet of ex-girlfriends and friends' wives to help out when it is his turn to have me. When their goodwill runs dry, he solves the problem by permanently relocating Nora from Hungary to Willesden. This must have seemed like a splendid idea at the time. Nora has no other family and is always griping that she doesn't see enough of her son and granddaughter. She can provide free and reliable childcare, filling her days with the maternal joys of cooking, cleaning, and doting on her progeny, allowing dad to work and live as he pleases. There are unfortunately some snags to this apparent win-win situation. Firstly, Nora has none of the trappings of the house-proud matriarch. For half of her life, she was serviced by domestic staff, and she regards menial tasks as below her status. Ivan's childcare, too, was carried out by a nanny, so she has little idea of the practicalities. And even if she had the will to be an efficient housekeeper, she is by now in her 70s, overweight and unfit and incapable of keeping a 4-bedroom home in habitable order. Another downside is her inability and refusal to learn English, which makes it hard for her to form new relationships and increases her social isolation. Worse, she is also an irredeemable racist, having come from an exclusively white European environment where, in her opinion, much of the less desirable indigenous population had been conveniently murdered or dispersed by Hungary's collaboration with the Nazis. She finds Northwest London a horrifying dystopia of jumbled up ethnicities. She hisses her disgust at shopkeepers, passers-by, my school friends, anyone, in fact, who doesn't appear to originate from a country on her approved list. I sometimes raise the point that her characterization of the Japanese as bow-legged mongrels must include me, but her answer is clipped and dismissive. That's different. But by far the biggest problem is a bitter, angry self-pity that threatens to overwhelm her at every moment. The slightest thing can set her off, and once triggered, there is no stopping her. She takes offense where there is none to be taken, responding to perceived slights with unbridled malice, brooding obsessively on grudges and poisoning the atmosphere. While dad chooses to downplay these shortcomings, dismissing them as harmless, our friends, neighbors, and visitors are either appalled or feel pity, excusing her behavior as a symptom of her isolation and the difficult times she has lived through. But these adults have the luxury of being able to walk away, with mom moved out and dad now freed from the responsibility of having to care for me in her absence. I have little choice but to be in Granny's company. When the storm clouds come, there is nowhere for me to shelter. Yeah, aren't they fun? It's so fun. The secret to relationships is being intimate. You don't really need to give them attention or love as long as you have intimacy, right? I don't know. I think there is such a thing as too much intimacy. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I agree. She need to forgive her mama. She need to forgive her grandma too. I mean, it sounds like she does. Yeah. Uh, I mean, who knows? Her parents sound like a mess, don't they? Her dad, a Hungarian refugee. Her mom from like a noble Japanese family. Her mother's her mother's mother and father, they lived in Japanese occupied China. I can't remember the area that they were in, but she's got anger and self-loathing. Who doesn't? That's not odd. That's not too weird. That's pretty common. Oof, oof, oof. Okay, so who was white? Who was white? What do you mean? If her father was Hungarian, so he was the whitey. Her mother was Japanese. So her father was white, the whitey. I thought Japan was more traditional and based. I mean, it is. It is. But there's still circumstances where, her grandmother on her mother's side status would be something that kind of the status and of that family that she came from kind of made her more of the matriarch of the family. And that's the case in most cultures. If the woman comes from a higher status, has more power, has more influence, has more money, in the upper classes, that's usually who ends up being kind of in charge. Okay. Granny and I occupy what used to be my parents' bedroom, while Dad has moved himself downstairs to sleep in what was once the front parlor. Without Mom's acting and modeling money and the financial support of her parents, Ivan needs extra cash to pay the mortgage and the bills. So the remaining 3 bedrooms are populated by lodgers. Jesus, what a mess. He's held onto his upstairs study, though, not least because he's had to step up his workload. He frequently overpromises and is eternally behind on deadlines, hammering away on his typewriter through the night. Granny takes every opportunity to put the blame for our financially constrained circumstances on my mother's dissolute behavior. She refers to her as a Japan curva, the Japanese whore, and relishes recounting ever more sensational and melodramatic accounts of her ill treatment of me, how she once heartlessly threw me down the stairs as a baby, frustrated by my pitiful crying, loudly proclaiming that she hoped I would die, how she would sadistically jab me with nappy pins, resentful of my curbs on her freedom, while Nora begged her to hand me over so she could soothe the convulsing, distressed infant. How her neglect led me to develop bronchitis, cue vivid impersonations of my raspy breathing, and if it wasn't for Nora, my dear and loving grandmother, calling the ambulance while Mom was out gallivanting, I would have surely perished. There's no mention of where Dad was during these episodes when Mom was apparently trying to murder me, but even as a 5-year-old, I know it's all bollocks. Any doubts I express of Nora's version of events are dismissed. I'm too young to remember. But hearing Mum being trashed upsets me, and I am traumatized by the violent images she plants in my imagination. When I beg her to stop, she snaps into cold admonishment, outraged by my betrayal. She is only telling me the truth to protect me from my mother's evil influence. But my response shows that I am undeserving of Granny's bountiful, selfless love. When faced with any hint of pushback, Nora resorts to invoking the Almighty. Clasping her hands in prayer and staring skyward, she implores Christ to observe and punish the terrible injustices committed against her. You see, Jesus, you see. Witness the ungrateful child's cruelty towards her poor defenseless grandmother. Then to me, relaying the judgment from the Lord's side of the discussion. He will throw you into the fires of hell. It could happen at any time. There is nothing I can do to rescue you. I know. I don't know. My grandma Terry was pretty good. My dad's mom was pretty good. She tried to be an ally to my mother, and she really did love my mother quite a bit. So um, I think of my mother like having me too, like all on her. She was all on her own, too, away from her family, very far away. And my grandma did try to help her and guide her. I try to defy Nora, but it's hard when she has a deity batting for her side. And even though her version of the Messiah doesn't quite chime with the benevolent figure I've learned about in the parables and carols, I'm still some years from being able to hold my own in a theological debate. When I burst into Dad's study, pleading for him to intervene, he sighs with disappointment. She is a doting old woman who deserves a break. Yes, she can be hard work at times, but she completely adores me and spoils me rotten. I should be more tolerant. It's difficult to refute this. Granny is ever attentive, always ready to cook on demand, never too busy to cosset and fuss. We bake pagaska pastries together, and she patiently allows me to take over the fun elements, punching out the shapes with a shot glass and decorating the tops in a crisscross pattern. She gives me pocket money from her pension to buy armfuls of comics from the newsagent, which I read in front of the telly while being serviced with endless supplies of fizzy drinks, enormous Galaxy chocolate bars, broken into individual cubes, and rather oddly chopped up rashers of raw bacon. We play marathon sessions of card games, rummy, canasta, complicated versions of whist, which she indulgently allows me to win. When she performs dramatic, flourishing pieces on the piano and teaches me to play the scales with the proper fingering, I test her perfect pitch by hitting random keys and delight in her talent at identifying them correctly. She sews eiderdowns and pillows for my dolls so that they can sleep snug in the cardboard beds she has covered in soft fabrics and decorated with colorful buttons. And she marvels at every drawing and piece of paper I produce, every crappy plasticine model and Blue Peter-inspired craft project, cooing encouragement and lovingly storing my works for safekeeping. But she suffocates me with her demand for constant reciprocal affection and becomes vindictive if I fall short of unquestioning loyalty. She is jealously possessive of me and drives away anyone I show friendliness towards with hostile stares and grimly muttered curses. Only Dad is allowed into the fold. Otherwise, she wants me to herself, cut off from everyone else. You can't trust anyone. Friends always betray you in the end. I'm the only person who really loves you. When visitors call around, she tells me they speak behind my back. They say that I am a terrible child and horrible to my poor loving grandmother, so I feel ashamed and judged when they attempt to engage me in conversation. Even when we're alone, she constantly tests my devotion. Every mundane interaction requires me to bow low and kiss her hand in recognition of her ladylike status, and she'll suddenly grow cold if I fail to use the appropriately respectful form of address. As we walk to the shop, she withdraws her promise of treats, outraged that I have failed to observe the correct etiquette by walking on the roadside, ready to chivalrously take the impact if a car goes out of control. In order to make up for these insolent missteps, I have to prostrate myself at her feet and beg forgiveness, literally. I'm beginning to suspect that any love Nora seems capable of administering has to be earned through groveling respect, unquestioning submission, and constant affirmations of her unassailable virtues. But I am still too small and young to defend myself against her manipulations, and come out worse if the situation escalates to physical confrontations. When she digs her nails into my flesh and claws the skin from the backs of my hands, I swallow down my rage, hoping my resentment can be soothed with another round of cards or some more chocolate treats if I just play along with her wishes. At bedtime, she fusses and fiddles at me. Granny imposes her own unusual hygiene standards, ignoring my feet black from playing barefoot in the garden and my teeth coated from an all-day assault of sugar. Instead, she makes me lie still and naked so she can clean me, paying meticulous and prolonged attention to my nether regions. Tucked up in our shared bed, she reads me Hungarian fairy tales from elaborate picture books, but tends to fall asleep mid-sentence, the book flopping on the cowpat spread of her breasts. Sometimes I stare at the toothless cavity of her mouth, fallen open as she snores, and I want to stick my fist inside until she chokes. Dang. Dang, what a grandma, huh? Oh, how rough. Idyllic grandma. Hit like if you have been coached how to behave with chocolates. Indeed. Yeah, that was wild reading about Nora. I had no idea what to suspect. It's all new to me as well. Nora sounds like a very, very difficult woman. I mean, can you imagine? She's so small. She's like a kindergartner. Mom is gone, or she's split between mom and dad. I think in the next chapter she's going to talk about her life with her mom and how it's different. So she's split between two homes, and this is what she deals with in her dad's home. Dad's working, and what a mess. What a mess, huh? But she grew up to make beautiful music, which is amazing. Amazing, beautiful music. All right, I need to get out of here because it's getting late. Always trying to eat her. Oh, I know. Yeah, she sounds awful. Calling her mother a Japanese whore. That's pretty nice. It's just amazing to me. Just amazing to me. I'm like, what a life. And I'm sure her life with her mother was a lot more exciting. Like, dad is beta classic. Yeah, dad is a mess. It sounds like a womanizer. He's a womanizer. who also has this very bizarre like relationship with his mother. Remember her talking about like her mother walking in on Granny Nora feeding dad when he was sick, and he was like cooing like a baby or something. It was just like, and I'm sure even as a like just Japanese too. Like I don't know. I'm sure that must have been interesting for her. But I'm sure we'll read about more later on. Thanks for reminding me about the book, Matthew. Glad to share bits of it, especially because I haven't been picking it up myself and I do want to finish it soon. Or I do want to finish it, relatively quickly. Okay, well, yeah, I'm going to head out. So thanks for being here, chilling with me, having a fun conversation, doing art, reading, and just chilling. I don't know. I'll be back another time, I'm sure, and we'll have fun then too. So take care of yourself until then, and get lots of rest, and we'll meet again soon. Never say goodbye. Well, I guess we'll have to read another installment next time, won't we? Good night, y'all.